getting their approval is very important to Joseph. And the meeting didn't go well for him. Francesca's parents shared their concerns. Alright guys, we are back. You know the drill. My best friend is on Love is Blind UK and we're going to be talking about it. So, we're going to be talking about episodes 4 to 6 in this video. We kickstart episode 4 and we're back with Joseph and Chevonique. And he's torn between Chevonique and Francesca. And I can't lie guys, I feel bad for him because at this point, seeing both of these women, they both have attributes that I know he looks for. So I can only imagine what's going through his mind in this moment. So we're back with Ryan and Cuba and he's talking about how he's had commitment issues in the past and he keeps people at arm's length. I don't know if it was just me, but I was like, red flags, because I feel like it's only because of this experiment that's not coming through, because, you know, they're scheduled to, they have to go into these pods every day, have long conversations. There's nowhere he can run to. So in this moment when I'm watching that, I'm just like, yeah, without the experiment, would he just be running away and still be avoidant? Who knows? But nonetheless, he does end up proposing. Of course, she says yes. So then we see Jack and Faye. They're having a very cute date. Jack asks Faye to be his girlfriend. Super cute. Guys, I don't know. Is it just me? Jack gives me like UK Harry Jowsey vibes. Like that charm, that like cheeky chappy, young, fun. Like, I don't know. Comment below your thoughts. And then the next time we see Jack and Faye, he's reading out a letter he wrote to her. He then goes on to propose. Guys, is it just me? I cried so much in these episodes. So during their proposal, I also cry. Tell me I'm not alone. So we're back in the women's quarters. Chevonique is dressed for her date with Joseph. Francesca's like, she looks good. And I can't lie, that would be me. If I saw Chevonique in her, she pulled out her freakum dress, I will be quaking in my boots. She looked good in that dress, I must say. But yeah, we then see Joseph on his date with Francesca. And it would seem that he's made his mind up. And, you know, he lets her know he's falling for her. And you just see the relief wash over her face. By the way, she's also made him like pancakes, if I'm not mistaken, which I know he loves a pancake. Joseph loves a sweet treat. He loves waffles, cookie dough, or do you know what, let me not put him on blast, but he loves a sweet treat. So good move on Francesca's part. But yeah, she's very giddy in that moment. It's very cute, the exchange that they're sharing. Yeah, he says he's just thankful that God has brought her into his life. He's like, let's get ready for the rest of our lives together. And yeah, he says she's created a space for him to be able to be vulnerable. So like I was saying in the last video, if you didn't see it, like, it was both ways with Joseph and Francesca. Like, they both felt like it was a safe space where they could open up. Where from what we saw with him and Chevonique, it was just he created the space for her, but we didn't see him open up with her. So then we see Chevonique and Joseph. They're on a date now, and she's got him a little, you know, frozen strawberry daiquiri, also a cocktail that he does enjoy. But it makes this moment so hard to watch, knowing that he's chosen Francesca and she's made this effort. But, you know, she handles it respectfully and wishes them both the best. But then in her, like, interviews to camera, we see her getting emotional and it's like, did I open up too late? And that was relatable. There's been people I've dated where I feel like I was scared to fully show them the real me, and by the time I start to, they've already lost interest, essentially. And then, yeah, she gets like a really nice send-off from the girls. They do a little tunnel for her and everything. You can see she was a big character in there and clearly got on with a lot of the girls there. And then we have Cuba and Ryan, you know, their big reveal, and they both seem really into each other. It seems like the perfect first meet, but there's something I can't shake about Ryan that I'm not buying, and it just feels like disingenuous almost. So then we're back with Joseph and Francesca, and he's reading out, you know, envisioning his perfect Sunday. And in like what he's reading out, he's like, you know, I feel so fortunate to have this family, and I feel like the richest man to have you by my side, which was So beautiful. It was so sweet. I was like, okay, Joseph. It was very cute. I was definitely, I may have shed a little tear or two. And then he gets down on one knee and proposes to Francesca. And of course she says yes. And then we see Joseph just kind of sit back on the sofa and he's like taking it all in. I feel like it was all very overwhelming for him, and she's just pouring into him again and saying, your family will be so proud of you. And we see him get emotional and cry. It was a very sweet moment between the two of them. Very sweet proposal. And then we see Faye and Jack meet for the first time. Faye in that red dress. I see what you did, girl. But no, she looks so good. They both seem super into each other. So happy for them. I really like them as a couple. And then we get to Joseph and Francesca meeting. And this is what the episode is named after. Wow, 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 wow. Like the doors open and he is clearly just amazed. And I remember him telling me, apparently he was saying wow for way longer as well. Like he was in awe. Clearly. But yeah, it's a very cute moment with their first meet together. And yeah, he doesn't want to leave her side. Like, even when they're walking away, he keeps looking back. Like, you can see he's so giddy and so into. I could, like, truly see that with the two of them. So that was their, like, reveal was very cute to watch. So the couples are in Ibiza. Let's go, baby. And we see Jack and Faye talking, and he's saying, he's gonna have to have a talk with Ciara and just clear the air, let the drama commence. And then we see Ajay and Ciara talking, and Ajay lets Ciara know that Ciara said to Jack he was her number one. And she's like, I didn't say that, and she's not happy about this. And technically, she didn't say that, but she did let him believe that though. But all I'm gonna say is let's go drama. So now we're on to episode 5, and we have all the couples meeting for the first time. Guys, comment below. This is my favorite part of Love is Blind. Like, I love when all the people from the pods get to meet. You're seeing the people you used to date. This is not a normal situation, but if you want to give it to us, Netflix, and let us sit here and watch all these people meet, I'm here for it. So Ciara, in her interview, she's alluding to Jack not looking that good in person, and I'm like, Ciara, go. She's doing a bit too much. You don't need to do all that. And then we see like the boys talking and the girls talking, and Faye and Jack in their respective corners basically let the boys and the girls know what went down last night. And then like everyone's jumping in the pool. It's a pool party. We're having a good time. Joseph goes to get shots, and I see his tactic, because I'm going to put it out there. Joseph can't swim. I also say I can't swim, so who am I to judge? I actually like this tactic. I would do the same. Smart thinking. So then we have all the girls and Joseph, and they're talking about how Jack said that Ciara said he was her number one. And Ciara's like, that's not true. What's going on? And they turn to Joseph like, what do you think about this? And Joseph be like, oh, like you can see it's a bit awkward. Like he didn't want to be involved in that. As much as I joked and said he loved the tea, I think he just wanted to be spending time with Francesca. He just so happened to get caught up in this conversation. And yeah, you can just see he's reluctant to get involved. And when they've turned to him, he's like, I only know like Jack's side and what he told me. And Cuba's like, okay, and what did Jack say? And he's like, he said that Ciara said he was her number one. And it wasn't like he wanted to go around spreading all this like rumors, whatever. He was asked. But yeah, we then see Joseph giving Jack the heads up, like, this is what's being spoken about. And Jack does hold his hands up, like it could have been a miscommunication. Let me talk with Ciara and just sort this all out, So Jack and Ciara come to the conclusion that yes, it was a miscommunication. And then Jack brings up, obviously, Ciara calling him fake. And Ciara says that this was a conversation that was already happening in the lounge of Jack, like they were calling Jack fake. I don't remember this. Guys, comment below if I missed this. Were they already talking about it and then Ciara added to it? She then obviously goes on to say she's sticking to it that she ended things, which she didn't, and she was like, he could tell she was going to end things. Rewriting history. She's saying he could tell that she was going to end things, so he basically got in there first, which isn't true. I really want to hear your opinions on what you think. Who ended things between Jack and Ciara? Let me know. So the next day after the pool party, we have Ciara and Cuba meeting up. They're catching up on how the pool party went. And yeah, she says she feels like Joseph was steering the conversation to Jack. But from what we saw, Joseph was asked and he simply answered the question he was asked. And then she's like, what do you think of Francesca and Joseph's relationship? And Cuba is speaking highly of it, and Ciara's like, well, Joseph wasn't honest to Francesca about Chevonique. He led Chevonique on, and I'm like, are we watching two different shows? Like, I don't remember that being the case of how that went down. Comment below if you think otherwise. We see Joseph and Francesca out on a date. I was just thinking, oh my God, I would love some tapas right now. Like, I've been to Ibiza once, but I go to Barcelona, like, I've been about 5-6 times. Just going, sitting out, eating tapas. Anyways, side note, they're talking about their love for gym, so it's nice that they have like a shared passion and everything like that. And Francesca asks, like, how would you feel about the fact that my weight does fluctuate? And he's very reassuring to her, like, listen, I love your body, it's fine. He says, I too love a sweet treat, which I was telling you before. I'll be on the phone to him and he's driving to get cookie dough. He'll mute the phone, so I can't hear him make the order, but I know you're getting cookie dough. So then we see Cuba and Ryan on like a dance movement, yoga, spiritual type date, and they're giving it all of this, and she's saying, how she's scared, how quick her feelings have grown. Guys, I don't know, I just don't trust Ryan. Like, he's saying all the right things, but there's something about it that just feels like he's just saying the right things, almost somewhat performative. Like, it doesn't feel real to me. As I was watching it, I was like, I don't know. We also see Taylor and Sophie. They're on a yacht date. That is the date I would want. Either that or the tapas date. Taylor reveals that he's got like tattoos, girls' names tattooed on his bum. How would you feel about this? Would you make your partner get that removed? I'm trying to think. If my boyfriend had other girls' names tattooed, yes, they're gone. They're going. So we see Jordan and Yasmin, and she's saying how easy it's been for them together. And I really like them together, as you guys know. And then she's saying, they are moving at a slower pace than everyone else. And at that point, I do get nervous. I'm like, please God, I hope this is not foreshadowing. So the group meet up with Matt and Emma, and they let them know it's time. They're moving back to London, people. I like when they go away after the pods, but I'm most excited when we see the couples moving in together, because this is where you truly see the relationship progress and they truly get to know each other's habits and everything like that. So obviously during this like lunch party, I guess you could call it, when they see Matt and Emma have gone at this point. Joseph and Jack catch up, and Joseph's advising Jack speak with Ajay, which I agree with. Like, a conversation definitely needs to be had there. And then the conversation moves on. Jack opens up to Joseph that, he is in love with Faye, and Joseph in turn also admits that he's in love with Francesca, and they're both like giddy and excited about it, and their friendship is so cute. Like, it's a proper bromance that we get to see between them, which I do enjoy watching. So then we also see Ciara having a conversation with Yasmin, and she's telling Yasmin that her and Ajay have said that they love each other, and we see Yasmin getting in her head because obviously her and Jordan aren't there yet. And then on the flip side, we see Jordan with the boys, and he's saying, he's holding back on saying he loves Yasmin because he knows she hasn't been in a relationship yet. So when he says it, he wants to truly mean it. So then we see Francesca and Cuba talking, and Cuba lets Francesca know that Ciara told her that Joseph told Chevonique on their like final date that he was still open to more, which isn't really how it went down. I feel like Ciara like mixed things up just a little bit, which makes so much drama. And normally I do like drama when your friends are involved. Not fun to watch. So Jack pulls Ajay to the side. He manages to clear the air. They seem to squash things. And Ciara is not happy. Now, Ciara did say her main issue is that all of what Jack said made Ajay upset. If Ajay is okay now, why is there still an issue? That is my question. Inquiring minds would like to know. So then later on in the evening, we see Jack plan like a cute little poolside date with Faye. He's laid out some rose petals by the pool. I do really like these two together. And she says a lot of times I feel like I'm forgotten, but you truly make me feel like I'm the only person. And I really felt that, and I can really relate again in my own relationship. I feel like before him, I'm someone that was very independent, not because I like it, it's just what I had to do. And it's like, it's always just you for you. And like, you may feel like you're not as appreciated in certain spaces. In comes my boyfriend, and he just makes me feel so appreciated. And it's like, the level of appreciation, the best way to describe it is there's no way you're giving this to anyone else. Like, and I get that feeling of like you are the only person. So it's very cute to see her express that, and very relatable. And finally we have Joseph and Francesca, and she does pull him up on the Chevonique situation, and there's no defensiveness on his side. It's really nice to see how they handle this situation, how they handle the conflict, and they really do just talk it out. It's just understanding, no like, you know, rah rah rah. And you could see like his main goal was just to provide clarity, which they did. So they truly were a team on this, and that's how it should be. So episode 6, my favorite part, the couples move into their apartments, and Ryan is letting Cuba know it's important for him to have his alone time, which I'm gonna preface this by saying I do get, like, me having lived alone for 3 years, the time is soon going to come when I move in with my boyfriend, and that's going to be a whole new thing to get used to. I've never lived with a guy, never lived with a partner, and when you've lived by yourself for so long, you're just so used to when you come home from everything, it's your own time, you're focused on you, what can you do to bring yourself back energy or all of this. But now you're living with someone else, it's like, they're in my space almost, even though you love that person. Is gonna be an adjustment, 100%. However, there's still a niggling feeling about Ryan that I can't shake. And then we see Joseph and Francesca, and he's saying, you know, he really wants to get her father's blessing. And then, you know, all the couples get their phones back. Yasmin and Jordan, they're looking at each other's Instagrams, and they're having fun with it and everything. And then she's like, you know, oh yeah, let me see your DMs. What's the request? What's Amy saying? And I was like, yikes, Yasmin, let's take a chill. It could have been that she was doing it in fun and jest. The joke didn't land. So then we see Ajay and Ciara's talking about, you know, her financial expectations from Ajay and how her dad covered everything when she was growing up. Like, that's the example she saw. And then she goes into in depth about the house she wants, and you know, she's talking about how she'd want to host, and she'd have this big kitchen conversion and everything. I can't lie, this house sounds lit. I want to visit. She said they want to host me. We're back with Jordan and Yasmin, and again they're talking about how they're moving slow. And now, guys, I was saying I'm getting nervous. I'm nervous. I feel like this is a soft launch of them just deteriorating now, and they were my favorite couple. I feel like this is about to be a hard watch. Like, that's literally what I wrote down. No. And then we see Ryan and Cuba, and he's talking about, you know, how he works away, and in previous relationships it's been an issue. Okay, guys, sorry if the camera angle changed slightly. I got a phone call. It was actually Joseph. Anyway, we see Ryan and Cuba, and he's letting her know in previous relationships when he's been away for work, it's been Joseph is calling again. Sorry. Okay, guys, take 3. My catch up with Joseph is done. So Ryan lets Cuba know that him working away has been an issue in previous relationships. It's given like he's soft launching his escape plan. So we see all the girls meet up in Sophie's flat, I think it is, and all the boys meet up at some place. And Francesca lets the girls know her and Joseph have said they love each other. She also lets them know that, you know, Joseph would have appreciated if Ciara had come directly to Joseph about the whole Chevonique stuff. And then Cuba and Ciara say it came up naturally because, you know, Joseph was pushing the whole like Jack agenda, which isn't really true. He was asked. He was literally asked. But, yeah, no, I like how Francesca handled the situation. There was no animosity. They handled things amongst them nicely. And she just shut things down in the best way I feel like she could have. So we see Francesca and Cuba go off to the side. And, you know, Francesca's asking Cuba how things are going with her and Ryan. And initially she's saying, you know, things are good. But eventually I feel like Francesca pulls from her. And Cuba's like, you know, she would like more romance. And Cuba, I've been guilty of this as well, where you may want to put on somewhat of a front of like, you know, everything's all good. And it's that healthy balance because, of course, not all of your problems in your relationship should you discuss with your friends. But then also it's like, if there are issues, it's finding that balance of not just painting out like everything's good when there are actual issues that if you spoke about them with your friends, talking it through maybe could help. It's tricky. It's like finding that balance. But I think Cuba's striking it well, I will say. So yeah, then we see Jordan talking with the boys and he reiterates again, like, if he's going to say he loves Yasmin, like, he's only going to say it. If he says it, it means he's going to marry her. So that's why he's holding back. And he brings up the whole DM incident. And he doesn't look happy about it. And guys, I'm scared. My ship is sinking. Bad. And then we see Yasmin talking with the girls, and she's saying she's going to, you know, take a step back because she needs to see more from Jordan. And she's seeing all the girls being bought flowers. And I think Joseph bought Francesca Uggs. Did I hear that clearly? Like, they're being given, like, gifts and words of affirmation and all these things. And she doesn't feel like she's receiving that from Jordan. And I know people may say you shouldn't compare, but in an experiment like this where the main focus is relationships and you're seeing it all around you, all you're going to do is compare. It's inevitable. And then yeah, she gets emotional. The girls are telling her, you know, she deserves the world and she needs to let Jordan know what her needs are. Joseph and Francesca get home from the boys and girls night and they're comparing notes. That is a fun part about being in a relationship, you know, and you're like, oh, what's going on with your friends? Or you don't know what's going on. Like, you're like sharing the tea. I do enjoy that. And Francesca lets him know that Ciara felt like he was probing her about Jack and looking for drama. And Joseph's response to that was exactly mine. Like, and then we also see Jordan and Yasmin, and they're talking about like Yasmin's telling Jordan about the girls' night, and she's like, you know, I got Sophie's apartment and Taylor had bought her flowers, and I was like, where's mine from Jordan? And you like, Jordan's like smiling along and you see his face drop. And a lesson I've learned, men don't take well to passive aggressive comments. Even if you're in the right, your best bet, just be direct. Like, if she had just said, I would like if you bought me flowers, that conversation would have gone more different than his face dropping and him somewhat shutting down. She goes on to use Sophie and Taylor's relationship as a comparison to theirs and where he's falling short. And you see, like I said, you see him shut down, and I feel like maybe he would have responded better if she had just come out and said, I need words of affirmation. I'd like gifts. Again, I've been guilty of doing this myself. Communication is key. But, you know, as the conversation goes on, she does become more direct and making it more about the two of them. And you see him being more receptive. So I'm like, okay, there's hope for my couple, please. And then a few days later, Jordan goes and gets Yasmin chocolates. And I was like, okay. and flowers. I'm like, okay, she said what she wants. He's reciprocated. There's hope for my ship yet. So then we see Cuba. She's on FaceTime to Ryan. I think he's still in another country. She's asking, how he's doing, how his talk went. Unless we just weren't shown, but we don't see him actually ask how she's doing. You've left her alone in this experiment, and he's not actually checking in to see how she's doing. So I'm just like, that's something I check myself. Like, my partner is very good at, like, there's even a message right now I need to reply to you. Sorry, I'm filming, babe. He's even asking, how are you? How's your day? Like, how's your day going? And he shows up so well to make sure he's checking in on how I'm doing. I'm like, I need to make sure I reciprocate the same for him, because as much as I appreciate it, let's give that back. Do you know what I mean? And then we see Chevonique meeting up with Ciara and Yasmin. So we see Chevonique say she had a date with Joseph and he didn't know what he was going to do. He didn't know where his head was at. She doesn't say this was their last date. And then Ciara chimes in and she's like, she didn't get a warm welcome from Joseph. He was pushing her to talk about Jack. Guys, please comment below, because that is not how that whole thing went down from what I see. Am I watching it from a biased lens? Please let me know. And then she also says that Joseph was upset about, she being Ciara. Ciara says Joseph was upset about her saying that Joseph and Chevonique had a strong connection when that wasn't his issue. And Chevonique says, she has no issues with them. She just wants to have a conversation and close that chapter, which makes sense. They've been on this experience together. Like, you've gotten to know someone. You just want to tie things up, especially in a situation like this. However, that was my man. No conversation needs to be had. But yeah, I'm not in this experiment. This experiment is a whole other kettle of fish. It's like a whole different situation. But yeah, speaking of Joseph and Francesca, we then see them go to meet his parents. And we know getting their approval is very important to Joseph. And the meeting didn't go well for him. Francesca's parents shared their concerns, and yes, they were strict. But from what we see, you can understand their concerns. Like, I could see my parents being somewhat similar, where it's like, this is a process you don't understand. Your youngest daughter is coming to you telling you, I'm getting married in a couple of weeks. Yeah, their concerns made sense to me. It was a hard watch. It was hard to see Joseph sit there while I saw both sides. That rambling, that's what I'm trying to say. I can see why the parents were coming in so strong, or why they had concerns, Francesca's mum and dad. But I could also see how that would be hurtful towards Joseph. But that's where episode 6 ends, guys. And yeah, I was on tenterhooks watching it, because I was like, seeing it play out, it's hard. It's definitely hard, especially where I care for Joseph and just want whatever he wants, basically. But yes, that is where episode 6 leaves off, and hope you guys did enjoy this review. I'll be back with episodes 7 and 8. As always, guys, comment below. I will be down in the comments. I love to discuss this show, as you've seen in my other reviews, with all you guys. Of course, I'm way more invested now that my friend is in it. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this review. And yeah, like and subscribe and stay tuned for more.